Hello class, today we shall be learning from Geography Chapter 1, the Earth in the Solar System. The Earth in the Solar System. Let's have a look at this picture. What do you find in this picture? It's a picture of a clear night sky, and I think you will see in this picture tiny bright dots in the sky. And what do we call them? We call them stars. And then in this picture you will see the moon and the stars. But we see these objects only during the daytime. Why do we not see them during daytime? Do stars and moon disappear during daytime? The answer would be no. Then why do we not see them? During the day, the stars are still there in the sky and they do glow. But we just can't see them because very bright light of the sun overpowers the faint light we see from the stars, and that includes the moon as well. Now let me give you an example for this. Suppose you light a candle during the night time. That candle will burn brightly. You will be able to see the light and also objects around you. But let's take that same candle, light it up in the open during the daytime. You will not be able to see the light that is produced by the candle. Why? That is because the light of the sun has overpowered the light that is produced by the candle. Likewise, the stars and the moon, their lights are very faint during the daytime because of the sun. That is why we do not see them during the daytime. Okay, let's go on to the next picture. And these stars that we see in the sky, these tiny bright dots twinkling in the sky at night, actually they are not very tiny. They are very, very big, far bigger than the size of the earth. Some of the stars, they are million times the size of the earth, but they appear very small. And we do not feel their heat and light as well. We do not feel their heat and light like the sun. Why is it? Let's see. That is because they are very, very far from us. You would have seen an aeroplane flying in the sky. They look very tiny, right? That is because they are far from us. The distance between us, as it is very far, they appear tiny. And it is because of that we do not feel their heat and light as well. I hope it's clear. We shall now go on to the next. Let's look at the distance from Earth, the moon. The distance from Earth, it is about 3,84,400 kilometers from Earth. And the distance of our sun, the nearest star, it's about 150 million kilometers away from us. And the nearest star next to the sun, Proxima Centauri, it's about 4.2 light years away from us. Do you know the speed of light? The speed of light is about 3 lakh kilometer per second. That's how fast light travels. So imagine Proxima Centauri, the nearest star to us next to the Sun. If light was to travel from Earth to reach Proxima Centauri, it would take 4 years and 2 months. So that's how far they are. And because of that, they appear very, very small. All right, as they are very, very far away from us. Okay, let's go on to the next picture. What are celestial bodies? When we say celestial bodies, it's also named as heavenly bodies. They would be the sun, the moon, and all those objects shining in the sky. All right? The sun, the moon, and all objects shining in the sky, they are called celestial bodies. Let's classify the celestial bodies. Celestial bodies include stars, planets, satellites, asteroids, meteoroids, and meteorites, and galaxies. Let's go on to the next picture. Let's talk about stars. We already mentioned stars are of different sizes and they are very, very far from us. Stars, they have their own heat and light, and the sun is also a star. It is the closest star to Earth. And the next closest star besides the sun, like we said, Proxima Centauri. It is 4.2 light years away from us. And when we look at the stars in the sky, we will notice that some stars, they form groups. They form patterns. These groups of stars that form imaginary patterns, they are called as constellation. So this is a group of stars that has formed a pattern, and this is a constellation. All right? And two examples of constellations are given here. Ursa Major, also named as Big Bear. It's the third largest constellation in the sky, and then the other one is Ursa Minor, Small Bear, or also named as Saptarishi. And besides this, there are numbers of constellations that you can find in the sky, and astrologers, they also have made constellations, named different constellations, and here you see the zodiac signs. These are all constellations, all right? Patterns that are formed by the star. So what you should know is different groups of stars form different imaginary patterns, and these patterns, they are called as constellation. Groups of star forming patterns, they are constellation. All right. And during the ancient times, people used to, before the invention of the compass, during the night time, people were able to know the direction with the help of the North Star or the Pole Star. They would look at the Saptarishi, that is the small bear. You can see from the diagram there, the pointer stars, and If you draw an imaginary straight line, then you would find the North Star. This North Star never moves, alright? It never moves, and because of that, when they were able to see the North Star, they were able to know that it is north. That way, they were able to know the direction. Let's go on to the next picture. As we are talking about the stars, now let's look at the nearest star to us, that is our sun. The sun is the closest star to our planet Earth, and it is also the center of our solar system. Alright, and all the other planets, they are binded by this sun due to its pulling force. And the sun, it has its own heat and light. It's made up of extremely hot gases, and it is the source of heat and light for our Earth itself. Without the sun, life on Earth would not be possible. Without sun, life on Earth would not exist. It would be so cold that no living thing would be able to survive. So the sun, he is the source of our energy, is the source of life. So it's very, very important to us. And like we have said, the sun is about 150 million kilometers away from us. All right, and that is why it appears small. Actually, it is very big. The sun is 109 times the diameter of the Earth. You will see in this picture, just above the red sentence given there, the sun is 109 times the diameter of Earth. You will see there a circle, a rough circle, and then in the middle you see a line. That is what we call diameter. So imagine if this is Earth, then it would be 109 times. If you keep drawing the same length of the diameter here, it will be 109 times bigger. That's how big the size of our Earth is, comparing it with the size of the sun. And the average sun temperature, surface temperature, it's about 5,500 degrees Celsius, while on Earth it's only about 15. So imagine how hot the sun will be. All right, we'll go on to the next picture. We will talk about planets and satellites now. What are planets? Is our Earth among the planets? Yes. Planet, it's derived from a Greek word planetia, which means wanderers. And what is a planet? A planet is a celestial body that moves in an elliptical orbit around a star. They do not have their own heat and light. They are lit by the light of stars. Example, Earth gets its heat and light from sun. Planets in our solar system move in fixed orbits around the sun. All right. And the difference between stars and planet, let's look here. Stars emits their own light, have their own light, while planets do not have their own light and heat. They get their heat and light from stars. Stars are huge in size as compared to planets. Planets are much, much smaller in size. Stars twinkle, planets do not. Stars do not revolve around other celestial bodies. Planets revolve around are the stars. So I hope you're clear what planets are. And remember, our Earth is also a planet. And our Earth, it's called a unique planet. Why? Why is that so? That is because it is the only planet where life exists. You remember that, all right? Now, let's look at satellites. There are two types of satellites. One, natural satellite, and the other one is artificial satellite. So what are satellites? Satellites are celestial bodies that revolves around planets. Natural satellite would be the moon. All right. Our Earth has one natural satellite, that is the moon, and the moon revolves around our planet Earth. And also the moon is the closest celestial body to Earth. Okay? And the sun, it is the closest star to Earth. Do not get mixed up. All right? Heavenly body that is closest to Earth, it is the moon. And then the closest star to Earth is the sun. All right? And all the planets in our solar system, except Mercury and Venus, have natural satellite. That means have moon. All right? And Saturn, it has the largest number of moon. It has 18 moons, 18 natural satellites. All right, we'll go on to the next picture. Sorry. Here, let's look at the different planets and see how many natural satellites does different planets have. Mercury and Venus, they don't have any natural satellite. Our Earth has one moon. Mars 2, Jupiter 16, Saturn, largest number of natural satellite 18, Uranus 17, Neptune 8. So different planets have different numbers of natural satellite. And now let's look at the moon, natural satellite. Our Earth has only one natural satellite, like I have mentioned, the moon. And the first man to step foot on the surface of the moon was Neil Armstrong. He first set foot on the moon on 21st July 1969. Now let's look at the size of the moon. The size of the moon is only 1/4 that of the Earth. Diameter. China kan soi to kha mo alaya phel phok alaya rin phei khan kha diameter in ta circular po tuna khovel hi lai taga rin taila chumi chu e kan kha khi alen dan jong chu khovel hi mun lia thren taila diameter kha mun khat vel ani mo chu tiang chu a size chuan a hlat dan jong chu 3,84,400 kilometers. All right, and on the moon there is no life. It neither has water or air. Of course, there are different kinds of landforms. There are mountains, plains, and depressions on its surface. And because of its uneven surface, when we look at the moon, we see it like this. In this picture, there are some dark surfaces. These are depressions that are on the surface of the moon. All right, now let's go to the next picture. only one side of the moon is visible from Earth, other face is never visible from Earth. So we see only half part of the moon. Why is that so? Why do we not see the other side of the moon? That is because the revolution of the moon around the Earth, it takes 27 days, and at the same time rotation of the moon on its axis is about, again, 27 days. So the duration is the same. So in the diagram you will see here, there are two sides. The near side is the part we see from Earth. So as the moon spins on its axis very slowly and at the same time revolves around the Earth, we are never able to see the far side because of the slow spinning of the moon. That is why. All right. Next picture. We have new moon and we have full moon as well. New moon is the time when we do not see the moon at all in the sky, in a clear night sky. And you will see that the moon has different shapes. All right, like the picture you will see here. Imagine yourself sitting in the center of the Earth, and you will see the sun. The sun gives light to the moon, and as the moon revolves around the Earth, the light that is received by the moon also is different. And that is why, as it revolves around the Earth, we see different shapes of the moon. All right? The black colored part is where it's new moon, and then from there, as it revolves around the Earth, we see a portion of the moon that receives light from the sun, a little bit, small in size. And then when it comes to the middle part, there, half of the moon you will see, then more than half, and as it goes round like this, we see different shapes of the moon. Okay, that is why we have full moon and new moon. All right, let's go on to the next. Here, artificial satellite. We talked about natural satellite, that is the moon. Now, artificial or man-made satellites. These satellites too, they revolve around our Earth. All right, they revolved in a fixed path around the Earth, and they are placed by humans with the help of rockets. And the first artificial satellite was launched by the Soviet Union, the Russians, in 1957. And India's first satellite, it was launched in 1975. Okay? And what are these artificial satellites useful for? They are used to study about the Earth and other planets. They're used for communication purpose, military surveillance, to observe distant universe, and so many others. They are used for predicting the weather, and the mobile phones that you use, the internet, the cable TVs, the signals, they are sent to the satellite, and the satellite in turn distributed to different parts of the world. In that way, especially communication, it is possible with the help of these satellite. All right. When we say natural satellite, it means the moon, and then artificial satellite, it would be man-made satellite. They all revolve around our Earth, and they would be included in the celestial bodies as well. Let's go on to the next. Now let's look at asteroids. Asteroids. What are asteroids? Asteroids are small rocky objects that orbit the Sun. Most asteroids are found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. They are much smaller than planets. They have irregular shapes, and asteroids are believed to be left over from the formation of our solar system. And they are also revolving around the Sun. And they orbit, most of them are found in between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. You can see from the diagram here, orbit of Mars, and then you have orbit of Jupiter, and in between this we will find asteroids. All right, let's go on to the next. Meteor and meteorites. Meteor. Sometimes one asteroid smashes into another. They cause small pieces of the asteroids to break off. Those small pieces are called meteoroids. Sometimes this meteoroid, small piece of rock, enter Earth's atmosphere, and while entering it usually burns off due to friction. This appears like a shooting star, a streak of light in the sky, and is called meteor. Okay? So meteor are small pieces of asteroids. Remember, they are sucked in from space due to the gravitational pull of the Earth, and when they enter the Earth's atmosphere due to friction, they burn up, and most of them turn to dust. And at some point, there are rocks who are able to pass through the atmosphere. The remains of the small pieces of asteroids that have entered Earth, they remain and come and hit the surface of the Earth. They are called meteorites. Okay? And it is with the help of this meteorite that scientists are able to study the planets, study heavenly bodies. They get lots of information from this meteorite. Now let's look at the solar system. The soul, it comes from Roman mythology, which means sun god, and solar means related to sun. So the solar system is a family of sun, with sun as the head of the system, and then we will have the 8 planets, dwarf planets, satellites, asteroids, and meteoroids. These constitute the solar system. The 8 planets, along with the other celestial bodies, they form the solar system. And planets, we have 8 planets, and in order of their distance from the sun are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And all of these planets, they move in a fixed path. And this fixed path is what we call orbit. And the shape of the orbit is elongated, not completely circular, like we see in the picture here. It's not circular, but elongated. All right. Elliptical in shape. And in order to remember the planets in order of their distance from the sun, the easiest way to remember them is by learning a sentence. My very efficient mother just served us nuts. With that sentence, you will be able to memorize the names of the planets in order of their distance from the sun. My, Mercury. Very, Venus. efficient, E, Earth, mother, Mars, just, Jupiter, Saturn, S, served. All right. Us, U, Uranus, nuts, N, Neptune. With that sentence, you will be able to memorize them very easily. All right, planets. And now, planets, they are divided into two groups. If you look at the diagram here, we have Venus, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and there is an orange line there. And then beyond it, you have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. The planets that are closer to the sun, next to the orange line, they are called terrestrial planet. All right, terrestrial planet or inner planets. And then beyond the line there, you have the outer planets, or they are called as the gaseous planets. And their size, they are much bigger than the terrestrial or inner planets. Okay? All right. And the outer planets or the Jovian planets, the gaseous planets, they are called gaseous planets because most of them are made up of gases like helium and hydrogen. Okay, let's go on to the next picture here. We already talked about the different planets. Now let's look at the numbers of days that they take to revolve around the Earth. I mean the Sun. Mercury takes 88 days to revolve around the Sun. Venus 225 days, so forth and so on. There you have the numbers of days. Our Earth takes 365 days. To be exact, it takes 365 days, 65 and 6 hours to complete one revolution. 365 and 6 hours. 365 days and 6 hours to complete one revolution. Look at Neptune. As it is far from the Sun, to complete one revolution, it takes about 164 years. All right. Okay, let's look at the next picture. Our Earth. How old is our Earth? How old are you? If I was to ask you, you would say 12 years, 11 years. But if you look at the age of our Earth, it's about 4.6 billion years old. And in distance, it is the third planet. All right, third planet in distance from the Sun. And in size, it is the fifth largest planet. And our Earth is also called as the blue planet. Why? Because 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, and water, its color is, we could say, blue. If you look at the ocean, the lakes, they appear blue in color, even swimming pools, blue in color. And as 70% of the Earth is covered by water, it looks bluish in color when photographs are taken from satellites from outer space, and that is why it's called as the blue planet. And like I already mentioned, our Earth is a unique planet because it supports life. There are no other planet that supports life, so it is unique. And then the Earth has two movements, like you see in the diagram there, rotation and revolution. The Earth spins on its axis and takes 24 hours to complete one rotation. And because of the rotation of the Earth on its axis, we have day and night. Then revolution, that is around the Sun, it completes one revolution in 365 days and 6 hours, that is 1/4 days. All right, and it's due to this revolution around the earth that we have different seasons. And the shape of the earth, if you look at the diagram here, there are two lines drawn. One is the equatorial diameter, and the other line, it cuts the earth from the poles, from north to south, from top to bottom. And if we measure these lines, their diameter are not the same. Equatorial diameter, it is about 12,756 kilometers. Polar diameter is 12,713 kilometers. There is a difference of 43 kilometers. The equatorial diameter is larger than the pole diameter. And so it is not a perfect square. It is not a perfect sphere. Alright. It is slightly flattened at the poles, at the top and at the bottom, while it is bulging at the equator, at the middle part. Alright. And because of that, the shape of our earth, it is called as geoid. Geoid means earth-like shape. So if someone asks you what's the shape of our earth, then you will say geoid shape. Okay? Let's go on to the next. Now here, if you look at the picture that we saw, and if you look at it closely again, just above the man standing there, you will see a white band of light. All right. This is called as the Milky Way. All right. Milky Way. During the ancient times, all right, the Indians, they imagined it is a river of light, and so they named it as Akash Ganga, river of light. And our solar system, we are included in this galaxy. The name of the galaxy is given as the Milky Way galaxy. And in a galaxy, there are huge systems, billions of stars. All right. It includes clouds of dust and gases. It's very, very vast. All right. Millions, billions of stars. Imagine how big the galaxy is going to be. And like our Milky Way galaxy, there are again millions of other galaxies. And all these together, along with our Milky Way galaxy and the other galaxy, billions of galaxies together, they form the universe. So our universe, it is very, very, very vast. All right, very vast. With that, we come to the end of this lesson. I hope you were able to understand and pick up points from my explanation. And with that, we come to the end of our class. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you next time.